Ever said sorry, but it fell flat? A good apology can mend the relationship, but a bad apology can make things worse. In this video, I'm breaking down the 7-step strategy for a sincere apology that rebuilds trust and leads to forgiveness. Ready to turn remorse into restoration? Let's go. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Matt, pastor and 2-time church planter, and I provide gospel guidance to encourage and equip ministry leaders to thrive in your spiritual, emotional, and relational health. You can get started by downloading my free guide, 7 Keys to Balance Your Personal and Ministry Life. I'll leave the link below. Let's dive into the 7 steps of a good apology, which I found to be the surest way to make amends and restore relationships. The first step of a good apology is to ask the Lord to search your heart. As followers of Christ, our hearts have undergone a profound transformation. Our small, cold hearts of stone have been replaced by big, warm, soft hearts responsive to the love of God. It's like what happened to the Grinch.
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day.
As followers of Christ, when we hurt people intentionally or unintentionally, our heart just doesn't feel right. And so we need the Lord to show us our fault gently, but clearly. Jesus promised this would be an important ministry of the Holy Spirit in our lives. In John 16, 7-8, Jesus promised to send the advocate who would illumine our hearts and convict us of our sin while guiding us toward righteousness. So the first step of a good apology begins with confession by asking, Jesus, search my heart and show me if there's anything in me that offends you. Ask the Lord to search your heart. The second step of a good apology is to avoid if, but, and maybe. Not too long ago, I was having lunch with a friend, and at one point I shared how I apologized to someone, admitting how I'd hurt them. And when I was done, he responded, "You know, Matt, the first part of what you shared was right and godly. And then you said the word but, and it undermined everything else you said." He was right. The quickest way to ruin a good apology is to use words that minimize or excuse our guilt or shift the blame to others. The classic bad confession is, "I'm sorry if," fill in the blank. The word if ruins a good apology because it implies that you don't know whether or not you did something wrong. It sounds like you just want someone off your back. So when you say you're sorry, be certain. Now, notice how the following so-called apologies are totally diluted. Perhaps I was wrong. Well, maybe I could have tried harder. Possibly I should have heard your side of the story. I guess I was wrong. These words and phrases don't convey sincere remorse. When you say you're sorry, don't water it down. Speak up and own it. Now, the word but is especially harmful. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings, but you really upset me. I should have kept my mouth closed, but he asked for it. I know I was wrong, but so were you. Saying but takes away the apology. So when you say you're sorry, get your butt out of the way. Avoid if, maybe, and but. The third step of a good apology is to admit specifically. The more detail we provide when we apologize, the better the apology. The more specific we are, the more honestly we're facing up to what we've done. Specific detail makes it easier for others to forgive us, and it helps us identify what we need to change so we don't repeat the hurtful behavior in the future. So take time to reflect on the specific incident that requires your apology. Here's something I want to invite you to try. First, consider the actions, words, or behaviors that led you to hurt someone. Then take out a piece of paper and draw a line right down the middle. And on the left side of that piece of paper, list bullet points of what you need to apologize for. And then on the right-hand side, write out the words or phrases or sentences that capture how you need to apologize. And whatever you do, Leave out the words if, but, and maybe. Admit specifically.
Max, help me! I'm feeling.
The fourth step of a good apology is to acknowledge the hurt. In the Book of Forgiving, Desmond Tutu and his daughter described the profound importance of sharing our perspective and listening to the perspective of another in order to be able to empathize and acknowledge the hurt we've caused each other. In a good apology, it's critical to show that we understand how the other person felt as a result of our words or actions. So, for example, we can say, "You must have felt really embarrassed when I said those things in front of everyone. I am so sorry that I did that to you." Or, "I can imagine how betrayed you must feel when I broke your trust by sharing that personal information about you without your consent. I deeply regret causing you that pain and violating your confidence." Or, "It must have been incredibly hurtful for you to hear me belittle your ideas during that meeting. I understand that my dismissive attitude totally undermined your confidence and contribution, and I apologize for not valuing your input or your impact in what it did to you." Or, "I understand that my actions made you feel overlooked and unappreciated. It must have been so frustrating to see me prioritize other commitments over our plans together. I apologize for not considering your feelings and for disappointment that I caused you." Okay, once you acknowledge the hurt, you're well underway to a good apology. This is how we say "I'm sorry" and mean it. The fifth step of a good apology is accept the consequences. Like, you might have to pay for the damages you caused.
Oh no, the slave, the pressure, they'll be destroyed. And I care! What is the deal?
I understand that my actions resulted in financial loss for you, and I'm fully prepared to reimburse you to make things right. Or you might have to sit out of the game. I acknowledge that my behavior violated team rules, and I'm completely ready to be held accountable. Or you might have to correct the gossip or the slander that you spread. I realize the harm I caused you saying those things about you. I take full responsibility, and I'm going to publicly apologize. Or you might have to take some time apart to repair the relational rupture. I recognize that my choices have damaged your trust and led to a strained relationship. I'm completely committed to take proactive steps to repair the harm I've caused and to work diligently to rebuild trust through consistent behavior. Y'all, sin has consequences. And a good apology isn't about getting out of the consequences. It's about accepting responsibility for the consequences and repairing the harm we've done. The sixth step of a good apology is to alter your behavior. A sincere apology includes explaining how you plan to change by God's grace and not repeat the hurtful behavior. In marriage, it might look like committing to improve communication. So, for example, "Sweetheart, I recognize that my tendency to withdraw during conflicts has really hurt our communication. And I commit to actively listening to your perspective and to expressing my feelings openly and respectfully in order to create a more supportive and understanding environment for our marriage." Or in marriage, it could be prioritizing quality time. "Baby, I acknowledge that my busy schedule has caused us to drift apart, and it's led to you feeling neglected. And I promise that I'm going to prioritize quality time together to make space for meaningful connection and fun in our relationship." These are just hypothetical, of course, but that's what it could look like in marriage. And in ministry, it might look like slowing down to create a more affirming environment. Hey guys, I totally understand that my frustration has hurt the team. It's hurt our morale. And I promise to take more time to clarify my expectations and to work closely to set up the team for greater success. Or on the team, it could be about respecting boundaries better. Y'all, I apologize for micromanaging that task. That was wrong of me. And I am totally committed to delegate responsibility better in the future so that we can foster a culture of trust and empowerment for this team. That's what we all want, and that's what I want too. A good apology is the beginning of changed behavior. Okay, the seventh and final step of a good apology is to ask forgiveness. If we're truly sorry, then it's important for us to say the actual words, "Will you please forgive me?" And if we genuinely forgive someone, it's important to say the actual words, "I forgive you." Y'all, this is so important because when it comes to forgiveness, Jesus is emphatically clear. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. That means the power of the words, "Will you please forgive me?" and "I forgive you" cannot be understated. This is critical because in this exchange, we acknowledge the frailty of our humanity, we admit our capacity for error, and we express our desire to repair. This simple yet profound exchange of forgiveness has the ability to mend broken hearts and heal fractured relationships. Through forgiveness, we free others from the weight of their mistakes, but we free ourselves from the resentment and bitterness that unforgiveness otherwise brings. It's through the exchange of forgiveness that we embody the essence of the gospel and love one another as Christ loves us. Mastering the 7 steps of a good apology enables Christian men to say, "I'm sorry," and mean it. I pray this is helpful to you. Let me know in the comments below or shoot me an email. And if you're interested into a deeper dive into the biblical process of forgiveness, check out my online spiritual formation course, The Forgiveness Course, a practical guide to peace and relational conflict. I'll leave the link below. And before you go, if this video was encouraging to you, it would be super encouraging to me if you'd let me know by giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. And while you wait for my next video, check out this one.